By the time I turned 20, I was doing adult things and I was pretty sure my life would sort itself out. Like I was like, whatever. But by my mid 20s, I definitely started freaking out. I started having this nagging feeling of failure because I was struggling to find my place in the world, career wise, but also otherwise in many areas of my life. And it didn't help that I was 2 degrees in. I still felt like I was getting a D in life, because I hadn't found the one thing that I excelled at. And I had to ask myself, how do I figure out what I want to do in life? The thing about growing up that I find to be hilariously unfair, like so unfair, is the unspoken rule that you are kind of expected to be an adult as you're learning how to be an adult. It's a very strange thing for me that I've never been able to wrap my head around. And of course, a huge element of life is that you have to figure out what you want yours to look like. But the learning curve for adulthood specifically is very challenging, especially when it comes to figuring out your career. And then add to that the fact that everyone is breathing down your neck, even when they do it in well-meaning ways, right? Especially when you're fresh out of college or you just got another degree. Everyone wants to know what your next move is going to be. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then you see other people your age or younger, and they're doing better, and it seems like they're on a well-defined path, and the pressure it adds on. It is only natural for you to wonder, what is my career going to be and how do I figure it out? The short answer is you don't. I don't think you do. Not in the way that we have been taught to do it. You figure it out as you go. My controversial answer is that I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to find one thing. But I also know how hard it is to face the world not knowing. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling to be so unsure and to be so uncertain, especially as you're facing the world. We all love to feel confident. There's a sense of security that comes with knowing what lies ahead. So I'm not going to act like it's easy. It's not easy to not know what your next move is going to be. I know that personally. But now that I'm older, I'm a lot more settled and a lot more trusting of myself and a lot more trusting of the universe. And there are a couple of thoughts, there are a couple of ways to approach life in a sense that have helped me get through those years. The truth is, for the most part, you have to try what you want to try and follow your curiosity where it leads you and trust that you will find a thing. I like to say finding a thing, not the thing, because I think it is very important that you open yourself to change. And I truly believe that you will enjoy the experience of life if you let yourself embrace all the ways that you grow rather than resisting your own natural evolution because you want to stay committed to what you think your life should look like. But there are also very practical things to consider. It is very expensive being an adult, even if the only person you have to care for is yourself. There are bills to pay. So if all you can do while you figure things out for the long term is to find a job that pays, there's absolutely no shame in that. As a matter of fact, I think that you can learn so much about yourself during periods of working just for survival. Lord knows, I've done so many different types of jobs over the past couple of years, but the skills that you learn will either carry over into your passion or point you clear in the direction that you're meant to go. I think sometimes a part of the struggle is that we're taught that our jobs or our careers are a huge part of our identity. But don't get it twisted. Your job, your career, that is what you do. It is something that you do. It is a skill that you are applying and getting paid for. It is not who you are. You are so much more than the skills that you acquire. And I think that's the crux of it. We've been told that our career is who we are, so we self-identify with it, and the pressure builds on when you can't find one because you just feel like you haven't achieved anything. You feel like you haven't done anything because there isn't one thing that you can kind of wear as a badge. But your job is just what you do. It is not who you are. And I say that because sometimes when you're in the middle of figuring things out for yourself, there's no shame in having to do the unglamorous things, the jobs that aren't glamorous. Social media and even people in real life can sometimes make it seem like some paths are less and that you're less valuable because you're taking jobs in certain industries that they think are uncool. You should never be ashamed of a job, a good, legal, paying job that helps you take care of yourself. You shouldn't be ashamed or afraid to do it. In my 20s, especially my early 20s, I was very scared to try. I was very scared to try a lot of things. And I really started to see growth in myself and change in myself when I started letting myself try even some of the things that I would have written off in the past. I decided to give myself a chance and not say no to myself because I think I'm unqualified. The job that I do right now, I work as a medical editor, is quite different from what I studied in school. And I think younger me would not have even applied for the job because it would have just seemed like new and very unfamiliar territory because I would have felt like I wasn't trained for it. So there's no point in even going for it. And I found myself doing that a lot. And I'm pretty sure I missed out on potentially great opportunities when I was younger because I just disqualified myself before I even gave myself a chance to try. Don't be scared to try. I would even go as far as to say, if it scares you, then you should probably try it. That is what you should be doing. You have to give yourself a proper fighting chance, is what I like to say. You are not too old to start learning something new. You're not already too educated in one field to switch over to something. If it's not what you want to do, you can absolutely change course. Who says you can't? You're not too dumb to get into any career that you want to get into, even if it might take you a little longer than it typically takes other people. If that's what you want to do, then it should take you as long as it takes. I've done so many random jobs, random things in my 20s, from hair braiding to babysitting to sewing to working as an adjunct professor at a college. And all those things in some way, shape, or form have contributed to where I am now in my career, which I still won't even say I have a career yet. I think I'm on the path to having a career, but I still don't really have a full, laid out plan. I have a couple of things that I would like to try and things that I think might be a good fit for me. But what I know now is as much as I know now, and I'm finally getting to the point where I can say I am extremely fine with that, with making a plan for the short term and seeing where that takes me before I think even farther down the line, I think another thing when we're trying to figure these things out is we want a life of ease, which we are all worthy of. You are worthy of a life of ease, but you have to ask yourself, what exactly does ease mean for you? Because even if you find your passion today and you're going to chase it, it's going to be hard. It's going to require just as much work or even more work than it takes working a job or a career that isn't as fulfilling. So finding your passion is not it'll be easy because it makes you happy, but a lot of the things that are worth doing, a lot of things that will make you burn so bright that it'll trip you up, some of those things require a lot of hard work, but it's all about choosing your heart. You have to choose which heart you want to live with. And to add on a little more encouragement, reject the idea that there is one thing in your life that you have to find and you have to do. And if you don't find that thing, you're unfulfilled or you haven't lived a fulfilling life. That is not true. Especially if you're in your 20s, you are just at the beginning of your life and there are multiple things, multiple versions of you that will exist that are inside of you that you just don't know yet. It's the word, you just don't know yet. And just because the skill that you have right now or the interest that you have right now is not being monetized doesn't make it any less valuable. It doesn't make you any less valuable. And keep in mind, just as I am now a more steady version of who I was in my 20s, there is a much more steady version of you in the future that is a little bit more certain, a little bit more sure, a little less intimidated by life and by the people around them. And that version of you is cheering you on now. The things that you're going to do in the future are inside of you now. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And just because it doesn't feel like it or you feel incapable of doing great things doesn't mean it isn't in you to do. You have no idea how good life can get for you. When you're in your 20s, things can feel overwhelming, rightfully so. But if you can pace yourself, set the intention to go at your own pace and by nobody else's. And I think for the majority of it, you'll be fine. As a young adult, and honestly, at any age, give yourself some credit. A lot of the things that you want to have, you want to be, you want to do, they take time and they take practice. You have to realize that it takes a lot of practice to embody, especially things that aren't easy for you to embody when it comes to self-esteem, self-confidence, public speaking. your sense of style, your sense of self, networking, all those things take practice, they take time. And you have to be willing to put in the work to let those parts of you be bolder, be stronger, be more forthcoming. You have to put your best foot forward, but also keep in mind that you're trying to grow while trying to figure things out, and most likely while trying to heal. That's a lot of work. You're trying to forgive yourself, forgive people who have wronged you in the past, while at the same time trying to grieve versions of you that won't go into the next chapter with you, grieving the loss of relationships that probably aren't serving you. You're searching, when you're in your 20s, you're searching for what you want while learning to let go of the things that you don't want. These are very hard things that you're doing. You're trying to love others while at the same time learning to love yourself, remembering to love yourself through it all. And even if you think you're not doing the best you can, you're still doing something, you're still doing a lot, and you can still do a lot. It is never too late to start. It is never too late to go back to the drawing board and pick up from where you left off. The idea that you should know what exactly you want your life to look like down the line is false. It's false. It is just meant to stress you out. So take as many deep breaths as you need to take every single day. Pace yourself. Take it one day at a time. I promise you it's going to get good for you. I promise you it's going to get good. It's going to get good for you. I don't want to say I promise you again, but I do. It gets better. And pace yourself, because if you're lucky, then you have many, 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 many years to figure things out and to watch your life unfold. Stay open. Trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, start building that relationship with yourself so that you can trust yourself enough to put yourself out there, so that the things that are seeking you, because they're seeking you almost as hard as you're seeking them, so that those things can find you, so that the opportunities can find you. And you see that there will be multiple versions of you that will exist over the course of your lifetime. Okay? I'm sending you all my love and a lot of hope. Okay.